Welcome to the Innovation Forge.
You are listening to the Innovation Forge, the #1 podcast on adaptive enrollment management, exploring the data, marketing, and strategy that fuels higher education. Here's your host, David Dysart.
In today's episode, I lay the foundation for our podcast journey. Let's see how innovation meets artistry as we forge something extraordinary together.
Hello, Guilders, and welcome to the very first episode of the Innovation Forge. I am your host, David Dysart, and I am thrilled that you are joining me on this journey into the innovative world of higher education and adaptive enrollment management. Whether you're an enrollment manager, an ed tech professional, or someone excited about shaping the future of higher education, this podcast is your new workshop for forward-thinking ideas. We'll be running two main types of episodes. First, From the Foundry, we'll all be reading unabridged chapters from my book, The Innovation Forge. Think of it as your personal audiobook session. No subscription or separate download needed. In each reading, we'll explore the principles of scoring systems, predictive modeling, and adaptive enrollment management. And this is how we can transform the way institutions understand, recruit, and craft their incoming class. The book is structured in 3 acts. In Act 1, we explore automated engagement scoring. You may know this as demonstrated interest, lead scoring, or affinity. So, after an introduction to CRMs like Slate, I detail indicators of demonstrated interest, how to collaborate with your team, as well as developing and validating your rubric with some fancy Excel tricks. I also dedicate a chapter on bonuses to fine-tune, improve accessibility, and address opportunity gaps by using static bonuses, scaled bonuses, and the use of proxy behaviors. A lot of terms there. Just to know, we go into better detail on how to craft these useful, beneficial scores. Finally, I show you how to automate the running of the process in Slate and how to optimize the score for your staff and your entire cycle. There's a healthy dose of Slate configurable joins and translation codes, so you may want to watch the accompanying video for that episode. In Act 2, we switch gears to predictive modeling. We'll explore data as well as the different kinds of models in software to build a predictive model. There's possibly an unhealthy amount of configurable joins when I walk you through feature engineering, where we'll be building relational variables that are more powerful and predictive than just standard exports from your CRM. Due to the lower barrier to build, ability to have Slate automate, and transparency to leverage prescriptive modeling, my book uses binary logistic modeling. In Act 3, we see how scoring and modeling fuels adaptive enrollment management principles and strategies to improve your work, recruitment, crafting, as well as the student and institutional success. Each chapter is broken into a different strategy. Target projections, which stands for Tuition, Aid, and Recruitment Goals Estimation Tool. This predictive modeling strategy is tailored for admissions professionals. It projects individual student enrollment likelihood, incoming class sizes, anticipated net tuition revenue, discount rates, and remaining financial aid budgets. It empowers you to make data-driven decisions, optimizing recruitment efforts and financial planning to achieve enrollment and revenue goals effectively. Paired with a reporting tool like Slate, current funnel statistics, institutional goals, projected totals, and even nudge projected totals can be viewed at the same time to craft your incoming class. Crafting your class. Customized recruitment actions using forecasting and targeting. This predictive modeling strategy helps craft and yield the incoming class by understanding individual student needs, tailoring outreach and programming, and prioritizing resources where they are most impactful. Craft leverages predictive insights to transform admissions from transactional to transformational. Nudge. Nurturing user decisions with guided engagement. A prescriptive modeling strategy that empowers institutions to proactively understand and influence student behaviors affecting enrollment likelihood, anticipated headcount, and net tuition revenue. This enables data-driven actions to achieve recruitment goals successfully. It also provides a framework to project how anticipated actions will affect student and class probabilities and counts. Beacon data mining. This is the behavioral and ecospherical analytics for conversion optimization and navigation. Using slate tract engagement data and biodemographic data, along with the trends in their environment, like third-party trend and ACS data built into Slate, as well as custom quorum scoring to better understand your students. This framework can be used to develop variables for scoring and modeling, as well as to craft more meaningful and impactful marketing communications and student experiences. GPS resource allocation, or the guided prioritization strategy, using scoring and predictive modeling to prioritize high-cost and high-touch resources, like staff and faculty and student phone calls, tailored print mailings, and even person-centered interventions for students with a higher likelihood to apply or enroll to make a larger impact and ROI on your efforts. Scout recruitment, or the Strategic Community Outreach and University Travel Tool, is a recruitment strategy that focuses on identifying trends and forming strategies around recruitment efforts. That includes travel, building relationships, leveraging fit dynamics. This is where that quorum scoring comes in again, and augmenting outreach to enhance engagement and boost enrollment outcomes. Thrive, the targeted human-centered resources and intervention for vital empowerment. This prescriptive modeling strategy empowers institutions to proactively deliver tailored programming that helps students succeed. By investing in recruitment and student success through customized support based on predictive analytics, Thrive ensures students not only enroll, but truly flourish at the university. Bonus, the Enroll Mentor. The role of modeling in generative AI will continue to expand for staff, whether in understanding information, creating content, or offering recommendations. You're not building a tool, you're spinning up a staff member, a consultant, a personal assistant, data scientist, and even advisor. You're building an Enroll Mentor, providing insight, strategy, and direction at every step of your process. This book helps you leverage this Enroll Mentor. At one chapter a month, our journey will take a couple of years. You can also buy the ebook, print, or audiobook now though, and skip the wait. In the second type of episode, we'll have interviews featuring innovative leaders and artisans in data, marketing, admissions, and even specialized platforms like Slate. These visiting artisans are the people actively reshaping traditional practices, and together we'll hammer out insights that you can bring back to your institution or organization. We'll talk about real-world applications, success stories, and even challenges, all while highlighting the practical strategies that spark true innovation. Throughout the show, I'll be running a handful of recurring segments to keep things interactive and fun. Here are a few to look out for. Submit your questions, thoughts, or hurdles to the Innovation Forge podcast at gmail.com as a text, voice memo, or video feature, and I may put them on the podcast and have my guests help tackle them. The Admissions Anvil, where we break down complex admission problems or listener questions into actionable solutions. The Application Forge, a spotlight on the elements that go into crafting a dynamic, student-centered application experience. The Branding Bench, discussions about institutional branding, how schools chisel their identities, refine their messaging, and position themselves in a competitive market. Polishing the Pipeline, offering best practices to guide prospective students smoothly from inquiry to enrollment and beyond. Molten Metrics, diving into the hottest data trends shaping decisions and strategies. Crafting Change, highlighting case studies of institutions that have successfully evolved their admissions process. Questions from the Quench, Q&A sessions fueled by your emails and voice memos that don't fit into one of the above topics. Consultant Cadre. This one is a bit more visual. Some folks in the Slate community may have seen these. When I was doing my admission workshops at Beyond, I had the Facebook and Slack channels submit names for these fun little animal mascots I was creating. I already have Clark J. Alexander, also known as CJ, the Slate data miner shark, I also have Cliff, the quarry climbing goat, whose kilt is actually very close to my family tartan. The next name I need from all of you wonderful people is the Joins Juggling Octopus. I'm also really happy with the Easter eggs in that design. I'll send the ebook of my book, The Innovation Forge, to all winning name submitters. Sparks of Inspiration. Brief spotlights on emerging trends, tools, and media that ignite fresh thinking. I'd love to hear your questions and challenges. They might just become the next spark that fuels an upcoming segment. So drop me a line at theinnovationforgepodcast@gmail.com or send in a voice memo. And if you have stories or best practices to share about admissions or data-driven enrollment, I'd love to feature them in a future segment or as an entire standalone episode. Lastly, if you enjoy the show, help us grow the guild by leaving a quick rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts, or by sharing the Innovation Forge with a friend or colleague. Each review helps us shape a stronger community dedicated to refining tomorrow's educational landscape. Every month, I'll be taking my favorite 5-star review or YouTube comment and sending the ebook version of my book, The Innovation Forge. And if it's particularly fun, I'll feature it on an episode, as well as giving you a shout out. As we start our journey together, send me a photo of you doing something first. First subscriber, first comment, whatever it might be. And I will, you can guess it, send you a copy of my ebook. Today, we'll do a quick dive into our Molten Metrics segment. While I was scheduling interviews with former colleagues, members of the community, I was having a conversation with a future guest, Eric Hoffpower, about a wonderful concept that he was working on called quorum sensing. And I won't go into detail there. Hopefully he can take some time in our interview and chat about it. The biological foundation of it. But essentially his concept was, let's take the schools and geographies where we have that critical mass of prospective students to schedule events at places that we might not have had on our radar. And this was such a powerful concept, and it really spoke to some of the work on scoring and modeling that I was doing as well. It was really a missing puzzle piece. In the past, I had identified these primary, secondary, tertiary markets based on applications. I had examined schools, kind of aggregated demonstrated interest score, or if they were applying and converting at a higher rate than what I was predicting with my predictive models. But I was not really hitting the mark, and this really unlocked that concept of quorum scoring that I'm calling it, because it's just such a wonderful concept that Eric's come up with here for our industry and our field. And what I've started to work on is, and this is very early stages, very slow development, but again, aggregating the student behaviors to be able to help inform student recruitment, possibly in predictive modeling, and just helping guide institutional strategy. And through a lot of very small query runs, just because the calculations and the independent subqueries have been so strenuous, let's say, I'm starting to, at the organization data table, start summing and averaging these demonstrated interest scores of the students who attend them, and are aggregating their conversion rate from inquiry to application, application to admit to enroll, and also what their actual conversion rates are and their actual yield rates. So we can start gathering that insight and understanding which schools are outperforming predictions, outperforming their peer institutions. Similar vein, we've done like the feeder schools through Voyager, but this just allows us to get beyond that surface level and understand how the students at these institutions typically engage with your school. And this is just a really fun project that I'm playing with at the moment. So I just figured it would be a fun bit to drop in this introductory episode. Most of these segments in the future, I will be sourcing answers from my guests, so look forward to what will be much smarter minds than myself in the room, explaining these fun concepts or tackling these questions from our community. Thank you so much for tuning into this introductory episode. Remember to strike true and let's forge something extraordinary together.